Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be Got Friend Zoned, Now She's Back. What's next? Well, I got an email. This particular guy, he's 27 years old, and he said sometime last year, a college crush, as he put it, got back in touch with him. Because I guess he had just moved to Colorado, and she got in touch to say, hey, I'm going to be moving there next year. It'd be great to catch up or whatever. And so he says a college crush, so more than likely that tells me that when he was in college, he had a crush on this girl, he was friend zoned or got stuck in friend zoned, or, I mean, at the end of the day, he carried a torch for this girl. And for whatever reason, they never dated, never got together. At least he doesn't say so. But when he started interacting with her, they were texting a lot, and then he started FaceTiming her. And they got together once, but it was just kind of awkward. He was like there was no spark in person, but they had a really good friendship and good interaction. And so she's tried to friend zone him every time she's like, oh, I'm only interested in friends, or hey, when I moved to Colorado for 6 months, I'm not dating anybody. These are like her rules. Remember, attraction cuts through everything. As Doc Love would have said, interest level cuts through everything, and it does. So in this particular case, a woman says, I got all these rules. Here, why don't you jump through your butt and maybe you'll get a peck on the cheek. And he's like, nah, not interested in that. And so what's neat is this girl keeps contacting him. And so for those of you guys that are familiar with 3% Man, you know my experience when I was in a similar position with a girl I really liked. And you could see as we go through the email, she's going to try a bunch of different ways to see if you will acquiesce to being put in friend zone. And if you do, then you're strictly going to be a friend. But if you continue to stand up for yourself and what you want, and you're like, hey, I'm interested in romance, I'm not interested in being pals, and one of two things will happen. She'll either stop contacting you, or she'll be like, all right, we can go out on a date. And a big part of what creates attraction oftentimes, like especially in this case, is just saying no. Because this guy's obviously displayed enough unattractive behavior, enough beta male type of like behavior, which quite frankly she's probably seen at this point in her life thousands of times from other guys that have behaved the same way, and none of those guys ever recovered from it. But on some level, there's probably some kind of physical attraction. She finds him cute or whatever. But when he acts so nice and compliant and too much of like a beta male, she just is not turned on enough to want to actually date the guy. And so him being firm and remaining firm, because she's been able to obviously get him to cave in the past, but at least this time he's not. And so the fact that she's still reaching out, I mean, if women are still pursuing you and reaching out to you and chasing you, they're not dumping you, they're not getting rid of you, they're not ghosting you. And so there's still a chance when the woman is still making the effort to keep in contact. Plus, quite frankly, you're a bit of a challenge. And the fact that every other guy that she's done this to is typically complied and gone along with friendship, hoping that someday they'll get out of it once she sees what a great guy they are. But this dude is like, he's doing a good job of sticking to his guns and saying, despite whatever happened in the past that got him friend zoned in the first place, at least up until now, he's been unwilling to cave. And you can't be consistent 9 out of 10 times. You got to be consistent 10 out of 10 times. Because if she asks you to be friends 10 out of 10 times, and 9 out of times you say no way, and then 10th time you start doing friendship and platonic things, then through your actions, you're complying with friend zone. In other words, you don't have the balls to stand up to her and say thanks, but no thanks. If you're not interested in romance, then it's cool with me that we never speak again. Because the strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. If somebody doesn't treat you the way you want to be treated, and you continually try to set healthy boundaries and they always violate them, the only thing you can do is remove yourself from the situation. Whether it's you're stuck in friend zone, you don't want to be there, you leave. You stop interacting with her. You stop hanging out with her. And you refuse to do it unless romance is on the table. And if romance ain't on the table, you ain't interested. If somebody's not treating you properly, is abusing you, they have a binary choice. They can treat you how you want to be treated and be nice, or they can go on down the road. And that's part of what loving and valuing yourself is standing up for yourself and your principles and your values and not compromising. Life is too short to put up with people who will not treat you the way you want to be treated. And obviously in this case, when it comes to friend zone, it's like you just simply are never ever going to agree to do anything platonic with her. Unless, of course, you're friend zoning her, but that's not the case. This guy wants to date. So with that in mind, let's go through his email, because apparently she's days away or maybe weeks away from finally arriving in Colorado, and she's still reaching out and still letting him know that she's on the way. And, oh, by the way, I'm not planning on dating anybody for 6 months. She's throwing that rule out there. And it's kind of like dangling the carrot a little bit. You'll see as we get towards the end of the email, seeing if, okay, well, maybe in 6 months, all right, I'll wait it out. And you can't submit. You can't comply with that. Women are clever. They're crafty. They're going to try 100 different ways to get you to comply with being a beta male. And as long as you don't, the attraction goes up enough, they'll submit to you. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to surrender to you. That's when you think about sex and the act of sex between a man and a woman, is she's surrendering to him. He's penetrating her with his strength. So he says, "Hi, Coach. I appreciate all your hard work and everything you do. I'm 27, and about a year ago, I moved to Colorado for a new job. A college crush of mine reached out to let me know she was also moving to Colorado in a year. She started texting me several times a day for a few months straight. She did 100% of the texting." That's a lot of texting. Well, when you text with somebody every single day for several months, then they expect that you're always available. So that's a bad way to go. Plus, I mean, most guys, you'll do it at first, but 6 months, a year or two, you don't want to be on the phone texting all the time, especially pressing all those little things with your thumbs. It's like, I don't think so. It's a pain in the ass. I don't want to do it. Short, to the point. With the messaging apps, with you got Instagram, you got WhatsApp, you got all these other, it's just a constant barrage. And men who are busy and productive just don't have time for that crap. Nor do they want to be involved in it. Besides, the phone is for setting dates, not getting to know somebody. He says she did 100% of the texting, and I would text her for a bit and then say I had to run. Her plan was to sell her house and move to Colorado within a year. And I was really interested in this girl, but I didn't like the idea of being texting buddies for a whole year. Yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't be wasting my time doing that. At worst case, if you really liked her and she's really into you, then you could have said, well, hey, let's get together. Let's meet up somewhere for a weekend, or hey, I'll come back to town or whatever to visit family. Let's go out on a date. And then you can see how it goes. Because no matter how the texting goes or the FaceTime chats or the Skype video calls or whatever, if there's no chemistry when you're together in person, it's a moot point. He says, I traveled back home to visit my family and ended up setting a date with her. We hung out for 2 days, but the sexual chemistry wasn't there. She's a bit of an introvert and gave off friend vibes the entire time. Well, you had spent all those months texting with her, and so you had become her digital texting pen pal. So that's on you. I was too nervous to make a move. That's part of your problem. That's why she was always a crush in college. He pedestalized her, and she could tell. But obviously on some level, she must have thought he was cute or cute enough, but he still wasn't man enough to stand up for himself and, in this case, to go for what he wants, because he's holding back and he's being nervous, but he's ignoring the fact that this girl was texting him constantly every day for months. So obviously she was interested in him. And I don't know when he came across my work, but if he knew it was in the book, he could use the kiss test, and he'd be able to tell right away if she was open to being kissed, and then he wouldn't be so nervous or worried about it. So he says, I was too nervous to make a move until the last night when I finally kissed her. I was just waiting for a sign to make a move instead of going after what I wanted in the moment. Well, if she's playing with her hair, if she's touching your arm, if she's standing extra close to where she's bumping into you, those are the kinds of things that a woman does when she's basically saying, hey, I'm open to being touched. It's like her invitation to escalate it a little further, potentially. He says, I figured it was time to back off on the texting, and I started trying to set up FaceTime dates instead when she texted me. A month later, she told me she wasn't sure if she wanted to be more than friends right now. I declined and told her to get in touch if she changed her mind, which is the right response. He says she reached back out about 2 months later to let me know she was in town and wanted to see me. I invited her over to my place, and she said she wanted to meet up for lunch instead to catch up as she had plans later that night with her girlfriend. I declined and told her to contact me if she changed her mind. Almost a year later, she texted me again to tell me she is moving here in 2 months. I told her to reach back out when she gets here. She responded with, do you only want to hang out if it's a date? Because I did make a firm commitment to myself not to date for the first 6 months I'm there, and I really want, let me go back to my girl voice here. Because I did make a firm commitment to myself to not date for the first 6 months I'm there, and I really want to stick to it. He says, I restated that I'm not interested in being friends and told her to reach out if she changes her mind. So that's the proper response. She's trying another way to friend zone him to see if he's compliant, because obviously he's been very squishy in the past. So he says 2 months later, she called me to let me know she was on her way to Colorado permanently. So keep in mind, she's still pursuing, she's still making the effort. Obviously, there's still interest. He says, I kept the conversation to 2 to 3 minutes and told her to call me when she gets settled in. Again, still the right response. He says, my question for you, Coach, is when she reaches back out, should I invite her over to my place to make dinner together? Yes, that's the correct response. As we discussed in 7 Principles, Get an X Back, your job is just simply to create an opportunity for sex to happen, to hang out, to have fun while you're hanging out, and to hook up when the signs are there that she's ready to be touched. And you escalate things just like we talk about in the book. He says, or should I meet her for a drink? You absolutely should not meet her for a drink. You know this girl well enough. You've talked enough. You've already been on a date. She keeps trying to friend zone you. And the greatest gift you can give anybody is a gift of your time. And so a woman who's trying to friend zone you and has stuck you in friend zone and you don't want to do that, you don't go meet him out for a drink. You don't pick him up. You don't go on a date or any of that nonsense. Why? Because she has to earn another chance with you, not the other way around. And since she's the one that screwed it up, she's got to fix it. And so the attitude and the mindset that you should have is that I'm open to giving her another chance if these things change. And so when you got a girl that has stayed in touch off and on through basically over the course of a year or so, is that obviously there's interest, but every time she talks to you, it's like, hey, let's just be friends. Like, hey, how about a nice case of blue balls for your trouble? And he's going to be like, no, I don't think so. I don't want that. I'm not interested in that. But I'm open to you coming over and we can make dinner together. Because when you make plans in the evening to make dinner together and a girl's coming over to your place to make dinner, women know that sex is on the table. This is a romantic type of thing. This is not a platonic thing. Meeting a girl out for a drink or coffee or going to lunch or that other bullshit, you're agreeing to do things on her term, and then she's going to want to lecture you about being stuck in friend zone. So therefore, you're not going to put a bunch of energy in trying to get together with somebody that's using the F word. If a girl's mentioning friend zone, it's like, I'm not moving my ass off my couch. Other than maybe to go to the front door to unlock it and let her in when she comes over to make dinner with me. But I'm not getting in my car and driving across town when all this girl has been doing is offering me blue balls for the last year or so. It's going to be like, no. So it has to be on your terms. And you want to see that she's going to comply with your wishes and submit to you and go along with what it is that you want. So he says, we've only kissed and have never hooked up before, so I'm not quite sure which is the appropriate route to take from here. Well, you should be following what's in 7 Principles, Get an X back. This is like literally textbook, exactly what I went through with a girlfriend of mine that was in here when we were going back and forth like this. It got to that point, and even though she was still calling and texting me every week or so, it was still the F word, the friend word. And I was like, no. And then she even though she was reaching out, I stopped mentioning getting together. And then she eventually brought up us getting together. And then I made plans in the evening to make dinner together. And she agreed, and she came over. We made dinner. We hooked up that night. But it came from, I was literally stuck in friend zone. And I'd gone out on plenty of dates. And so going out on another date and hanging out with her and not getting anywhere was pointless. And so it took, because again, the strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. So in this particular case, he walked away, he meant it, but again, she's got to come to him. Even though they haven't slept together, doesn't matter. She has to come to him, and it has to be on his terms. And so, dude, you're like right there. You're that close to getting to the promised land with this girl. And so you don't want to give up on the 1 yard line. And like I said, I'd be following exactly what's in 7 Principles to get an X back. Sex and romance is the only thing you're interested in. You're not interested in anything platonic. If she's interested in things that are platonic, there's plenty of beta males in Colorado that she can go hang out with and have something platonic with, but you ain't interested. You don't get what you deserve in life. You only get what you negotiate. So if you got a question or a challenge, you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.